Hello and welcome to Back to the Feature with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two films, one new, one older, what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present.
I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby. And today we are discussing Project Hail Mary and Interstellar. Two films about accidentally becoming an astronaut and giving up your entire life for science that maybe or maybe does not make any sense at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of logic with both of these movies that I think you can question.
I mean, I know that they both get like big, kind of like thumbs up from the science community for being very meticulous and realistic.
Or in the case of Project Hail Mary, a thumbs down if you've seen the movie.
Yeah, that's right. If you've seen the movie, thumbs down, huge. But but if you haven't seen the movie, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast. So, yeah, it's for movies that are like often lauded, or stories really for being lauded for being scientifically accurate. It's still a little confusing for my tiny creative brain. I guess I don't have a science brain. I'm so sorry to report.
Yeah, you can either be science brained or creative brained when you watch a movie. That's it. Only
that's
two.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Choose the two genders. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, before we get into the movies, Gabby, what else have you been watching recently? It's been some time since we recorded last. I think both of us were feeling a little under the weather as spring is upon us. But what else have you been watching in this time?
I'm so glad that you asked. I watched How to Make a Killing, which came on streaming in my illness. You know what? Solid movie. I liked it. Okay. I like Glenn Powell. I see that they are giving him the full like frontman push that maybe people are resisting a little bit, and maybe that's why this movie struggled when it came out. Like, it wasn't widely seen. I think people had a little backlash to him after The Running Man flopped.
Yeah.
But I thought he was really good in this movie. A+ for Margaret Qualley. Mm-hmm. Again, she's the MVP of just like showing up and making something like a little bit more, I don't know how to put it. She just has like a vibe, like an essence about her. And I'm like, immediately I'm like sitting up a little bit. I'm like, what's she gonna do? Is she gonna do something crazy?
Yeah, I mean, she brought a lot to both the singular Coen brother movies, right? That he did, Honey Don't,
that are not great.
What was the other one? Drive Away Dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both like you movies, said, not great.
I thought they were fine. Like, I thought they were fun, but the lesbian community, frankly, deserves a little bit more. But I appreciate Margaret Qualley trying, and Joel Coen ally, and his lesbian wife ally.
Yeah,
a lavender marriage for the ages. I love that for them. But yeah, I'm in on How to Make a Killing. Not a perfect movie, but definitely a good watch if you're in your sick bed and you want something fun.
Yeah, where is it? Let me just make sure I know where is it streaming right now, or is it just for rental?
I rented it. Yeah.
Wow,
I broke down. You wanted to see I rented it. I wanted to see something new. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Hey, that's cool. That's fun. I like it.
I spent money on Glenn Powell. There you go, Hollywood. I did it. This proves the theory he's a star. I spent money to rent him on VOD.
Take that, put it in your next pull quote for the next Glenn Powell movie.
Well, Glenn Powell did come up in our recent conversation this week for reasons we may not give away right now. But
yeah, big spoilers.
Spoiler teaser for later. But
yeah.
What about you, Evan? What have you been watching?
I feel like the thing that has stuck with me the last few weeks is the AI doc, or How I Became an Apocalyptimus, I think is the full title of that movie.
Mm.
It is a documentary about AI, and I thought it was actually really interesting. If you go on Letterboxd right
Mm.
now, you're gonna see a lot of like half-star and one-star reviews, and I think that
Mm.
this movie is really attempting to reach the average person who is just using
Wow.
ChatGPT unaware of like what effect it's having or how it's being created, not the people who are, very concerned about this being something that is going to that has been um trained maybe on illegally, right? Like these
Right.
language models and image generation models, like how they're being trained and how they're taught really isn't a factor of this movie. It's more like, this is what we are calling AI, this is kind of how it works, these are all the good things about it, and these are all the bad things about it. And I'll just be honest, I thought that the movie was very effective in talking about a topic that is actively changing every day, right? Like the
Yeah,
Sora
and
video
is
stuff.
divisive,
100%. Yeah.
Like, anytime you bring up AI, like, there are very few people who are in the middle about it, like, everyone has an opinion. It's like,
Hmm.
you're pro or you're anti. So, I think it's definitely a hot button topic of a doc. I haven't seen it yet. Does it tackle anything similar to what I deal with at work sometimes when somebody comes in with ChatGPT pulled up and asks me to explain to them why ChatGPT knows more about a certain product than I do or something?
It kind of does. It does
Yeah.
offer a
I'm
reason
like,
of like how it comes up with those answers, you know?
yeah, I'm kind of like, well, are you asking my opinion or do you want ChatGPT's, like, whatever it's pulling from multiple sources online, thousands of sources online? Um, I also had a woman ask me what 30% of $10 was, and I think that I can't tell if that's just because people are now using AI to do math or it's just like a failure of the education system or both.
Definitely a little bit of both, because sometimes even though I know how to do that, I couldn't like tell you right now that. Oh no, it's 3.3 repeating.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah. But
uh,
anyways, I highly
yeah.
recommend. I haven't confronted my fears about and my fear, I think I wrote there's a version of this before, but I on Letterbox, but I haven't confronted my fears and like anxiety, but also like general curiosity about AI so directly before. And so I thought the documentary was very effective. Actually found myself crying quite a few times because I the director pulls like a very on a specific emotional thread, and there's a very effective scene, at least that I feel like was quite effective towards the end of the documentary. So yeah, if you are interested in AI, or if you are someone who's like, well, I actually do like using these tools, they really help me, like, why are people so upset about it? I think it's worth watching no matter how you feel about it, because I think this is a great like intro guide. I think, yes, it could have gone further in a lot of different directions, but like, you're trying to talk about this thing that is changing
Maybe we'll
and,
get
like
a
Gabby
part
said, is
2.
divisive. Yeah, maybe part 2 of the AI doc. I'm sure
Where where is it
uh
streaming?
it is not streaming. It is in theaters right now. I
Oh.
got invited via email by Focus Features to attend a free screening, so that was very nice. Thank you, Focus.
Okay.
That was not because of this podcast at all, but we can just say it
No.
was.
We can say
um
that and tell Focus Features to invite us to more stuff. God. What does a
uh
girl have to do to get an invitation to a screening around this town?
I know, truly. But yeah, so check it out. It's in theaters right now. I imagine Focus, I think, is owned by Universal. So maybe it'll be
Yes,
on Peacock. Um,
probably
but it also
in
feels
the
like
near
something you would see
future.
on Hulu. I don't know, it's got Hulu vibes to it, you know?
I see. Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe Universal will own will or Universal will buy Hulu in that time between now and then.
Yeah,
We
but
really don't
anything's
know.
possible. Yeah.
Anything's possible. Just like anything is possible in space, apparently. Evan and I had the distinct honor of watching Project Hail Mary together, something we don't
Mm-hmm.
always do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Evan, how did we see this movie?
We saw this a late night screening at the Vista opening weekend,
Opening
70
weekend?
millimeter, but not 70 millimeter IMAX. But we did see
No.
it on film at the Vista, and
Yes.
the movie had a huge opening weekend. But I will say, our late night screening of it, not super full, you know.
No, I was surprised that it was not more full, but because I had gotten us the later tickets because the screening before ours was sold out, and I think
Hmm.
that was like a 7:30. But yeah, we went around 10. I guess our
Yeah.
screening started at 10. Um, yeah, surprisingly a little bit thin, but people were enjoying themselves, and as always, Vista Popcorn number one.
I think we saw Jack Black there.
I'm 90% sure it was Jack Black,
Yeah.
just like chilling in the back, and good for him. He's
Yeah.
supporting local cinema. He's an East Side staple. I've seen him at my Whole Foods. Like,
But what I don't think you know about this, but I did go see this a second time
you
immediately
did,
the
because you're
next day.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I am crazy. I
You're
had,
crazy. Yeah.
after I made the plans with Gabby, I had a separate group of friends that also listen to this podcast, I think, sometimes. Shout out Leah, Connor, and Haley, who were like, "Do you want to see Project Hail Mary? Like, we want to see it in IMAX." And I was like, "Well, I guess I'll see it in IMAX." And so I saw it in IMAX digital at another late night screening. It was like a 9:30. And so two back-to-back late nights for a very long movie.
I
Um
was gonna, that was gonna be the next thing I say, is we should mention this movie is long.
2.5 hours, right?
Yeah. I think it might be 240. I don't
Oh
know.
my, let's get a
Let's
quick
get a
check.
complete look, but
Yeah. Project Hail Mary runtime is 2 hours 37 minutes. Yeah.
oh, close.
So with
Okay.
trailers, AMC trailers is 3 hours.
Right. I have not gone to see, I do want to see it in IMAX 70. I've been meaning to go pay my visits, my respects to the City Walk Theater to see it while it's still there in IMAX 70. Um but yeah, I'm not looking forward to the trailer sit.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, this is something that we were trying to decipher, or that I was asking you. We did get an Odyssey trailer before
Mhm.
our screening at the Vista. But the rumor was that there was going to be a big, like an Odyssey prologue at the IMAX 70 screenings. Did you, well, but did you just saw it in IMAX, you said, so you wouldn't
Yeah,
have
I just
gotten
saw
it.
it on IMAX, so I
Okay, so
didn't.
neither of us have seen it.
Yeah.
Huge,
But I
huge blind spot by us.
Well, I do think, yeah, it's not something we've seen in theaters, unfortunately, which is, yeah, a little tough because we are the ones that should be reporting on this as we have the access and
We
other
should.
people don't. So we've
We
done,
also quite literally already have our tickets to the Odyssey, so we're locked in. But
yeah.
um
Well, in some ways
I
it's
mean,
better, right? We can go in
yeah,
blind. We haven't seen the prologue. We've just seen the trailer a good handful of times with Matt
yes.
Damon saying what if I can't
What if I
make it
can't come
home
back?
or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah.
Yeah.
What if I can? Um, I'm ready. I do want to see also the Dune 3 trailer dropped in before
Mhm.
Project Hail Mary. Um, allegedly only also in the IMAX 70 millimeters. That one I did watch on my TV, because and I cheated because I couldn't wait. Look sick, can't wait.
I think I
I know you're
watched
not a Dune
that.
guy, but I'm in.
No, this was the one I was the most excited for. It's actually the trailer's quite hype. I watched it on my computer first. I think they did screen it in the IMAX digital for sure. But I will
Okay.
say, I think
We
it's
didn't get it at the
okay.
Vista, but yeah. What?
Yeah, because the Vista we got Vista specific trailers, which
Right.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
probably they got to do them.
Capricorn 1 and Interstellar. Shocking.
But I will say I think it's probably for the better that we didn't go see this at Universal City Walk because a lot of the 70 millimeter showings, the projector has broken, or the
Oh,
film
I
reel
did
has
not know
snapped or
this.
something. So there's been a lot, at least 2 or 3 screenings that have been reported. My friend went to one of them where the projector just breaks midway through. I kind
Ooh.
of want that experience just to see the back to back
Yeah.
difference, but
Okay.
not if it's my first time seeing a movie.
Right.
I'm like,
No,
I don't want
no.
it to be
Has to be
interrupted
the
that way.
second or third time. Has to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's dive in then. Let's dive into the movie itself. Project Hail Mary, released March 20th, 2026, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Screenplay by Drew Goddard, based on the novel of the same name by Andy Weir. Produced by Amy Pascal, Ryan Gosling, PGA, okay. Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, Aditya Sood, Rachel O'Connor, and Andy Weir. Starring Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hüller, James Ortiz, and Lionel Boyce from The Bear.
Oh yeah. And
Um,
yeah.
I didn't recognize him at first, honestly, because I feel like in The Bear he's always wearing a hat, and I just did not recognize him at all.
I'm pretty sure when we went to see it, your fiance was like,
Oh,
is that the guy from The Bear?"
she clocked it
Yeah.
immediately. She was like, "The guy from The Bear is the security guard," and I was like, "What?" And
Yeah,
I
you were
still
so
honestly did
confused.
not put it together. It was embarrassing for me. So sorry. It's because he always wears a hat. I'm hat
Yeah.
blind. But in case you have not seen this movie, brief summary would be that this movie follows Dr. Ryland Grace, played by Ryan Gosling, as he wakes up aboard the Hail Mary spaceship with little memory of how he got there, only to realize that he is on a mission to save Earth from a mysterious organism that is causing the sun to die. While trying to piece together how he got there, Grace forms an unexpected alliance with an alien being that looks like a rock that he inspired, names Rocky. That and their friendship turns out to change the fate of multiple worlds. Does that sum it up? Did I just spoil the whole movie?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's basically the trailer.
Okay, great. I was worried that I was giving away too much, but
Well, that's how I felt
you're
about the
right.
trailer.
Okay, you're right. You're right. So you had a little more trepidation going into the movie than I did.
Yeah, I was really nervous about
Tell
this
us about
movie.
it. Speak on it.
Yeah, I was really nervous about this movie. I felt like the trailers, having not read the book. I think it's also important to say that Gabby and I both have not read this book.
No, I've not
Yeah,
read the book.
this is based off the book by Andy Weir, like Gabby mentioned, who also wrote The Martian. So he's
Mm-hmm.
very successful getting these adaptations to screen. So yeah, having not read the book, having seen the trailer, I was like, I don't know. This I feels like they gave a lot away. And then we watched the movie, and I was like, actually, they didn't give a lot away because this movie is long as hell.
It's extremely long.
Yeah, and I will say that this movie squarely falls into a category for me of like a movie that is like a pretty good time. People really love it. I think it's also like objectively like very well made, very well done. I think it's at least a B plus, if not an A minus, and it's just a movie that I like am not excited for. Especially that I saw it twice, and this is a habit that people have called me out on in the past, but I'll stand by it.
Mm.
If I don't know how I feel about a movie, or if I'm just like, especially when I'm going to talk about it on the podcast and I don't exactly know what I'm going to say, or like am I missing something? I'll go back and watch it a second time. Like you'll see it on Letterboxd. I'll log it twice. And for this one, it's just like I am not. It's very. I don't think I'm out on sci-fi because I am out on like Dune and stuff like that. But like, it just didn't really grab me the way it's clearly grabbing a lot of the other audience in the world. Which is, hey, great for this movie, and I'm not one to knock that.
Mm. Fair enough. I mean, I also would not describe myself as somebody who's out on sci-fi, but I have yet there are very, very, very few space movies that I can really get behind. Like
Oh, interesting.
at the top of my head, like honestly, it's just like the Aliens movies are my favorites, but
Mm.
there are very few like Gravity can't do it. Like stuck in space motif is really something that does not usually work for me. Even this is I'm gonna be blasphemous. I'm gonna commit like film bro suicide, but 2001, I've seen it. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. I've seen it in every format possible. It's a technical marvel. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's also like story-wise, fine. Like like again, pretty long, a little boring, but
Yeah.
I get it. I understand. And like similarly, I feel like this is a motif of how I feel about space movies, and Project Hail Mary was
Mm.
similar, where I feel like I get the technical marvel and the production design, the craftsmanship, even especially in Project Hail Mary, the puppetry, the literal puppetry. I appreciate it,
Mhm.
but they didn't just do a CGI rock. But yeah, I feel like there is, and we'll get into this with both movies, that in these kind of like stranded in space movies, we get a lot of technical achievements and not a ton of like character and story to
Yeah.
kind of latch
Yeah.
onto. And that's kind of what I feel like is missing from Project Hail Mary, which is it's almost silly to say, because I mean, it's a one-man show for Ryan Gosling. Like
Yeah.
he is in almost every frame of this movie. Like this is the Ryan Gosling movie star vehicle. It wasn't Fall Guy, it wasn't Barbie. Like it's this.
Yeah.
And he did it. This movie opened huge, and there's
Mhm.
already talk of sequels, even though there's not a sequel novel, from my understanding,
Mhm.
planned or anything like that. Like it's doing tremendously well. But yeah, I think it's just a motif for me on like the character development or motivation kind of lack thereof.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that. Let's kind of start there then. Let's talk about Ryan Gosling's character and Dr. Ryland Grace, and like the characterization around him, and I think maybe the supporting cast as well as Rocky. I think we'll probably end up going to
Rocky.
spoiler territory too, so we'll formally call out a turn to Spoilerville right now.
Mm. Yes,
Um
Spoilerville,
yeah.
population, you.
Because I think the last few movies we've covered, the spoilers have like come naturally, or like you probably have seen it, but this one, if you really don't want to know anything about it because like you're interested, I think maybe yeah, step away now. Um so yeah, let's talk about Dr. Ryland Grace. I feel like the characterization of him is interesting because we're seeing a character who wakes up with amnesia, but
Basically, yeah.
we know to be really smart, and as the audience we're receiving the information told in like flashbacks, and we're to understand that he is slowly remembering his life on earth and how he ended up into this spot. And I feel like,
Right.
does that like back and forth affect how we relate to the character, because it's such a big leap from him to go from earth to space, and us not already knowing that he's not an astronaut by trade?
Maybe. I hadn't thought about it that way. I think that when I was thinking of it, I was kind of thinking, I think that him not being an astronaut by trade, again, it's kind of a motif of this genre, but also, um, I think it's makes him more compelling. Like it makes him more of like, he's obviously incredibly smart. He has a
Mhm.
doctorate, and he's teaching teaching elementary school kids, because something about he wrote a dissertation where he said that water was not necessary for life forms, which I did think was very funny.
Yeah.
um and he's been kind of ousted by the academic and scientific communities, I guess, is what we're supposed to think. But you're right, like knowing that backstory about him, like it kind of already gives away that like he is incredibly intelligent and he's been sent here for a purpose, even if he is not clearly aware of that in that moment.
Yeah, and I think something that, to Gosling's credit and to the movie's credit, like I think when we meet like him in the past, which is very quickly, right after we meet him in the present, he's teaching these kids and he's very amiable, right? He's very likable,
Yeah. I
and
like him. Yeah, I liked the character.
really
It
funny.
worked.
And I think one of the lines that stuck with me from this movie is when he goes, "I ride a bike to work, and that's not
Yeah.
by choice."
Yeah. Like he really does bring like a really caustic Ryan Gosling charm to it, and
Hmm.
I think that really works in the character's favor, but um I think that what I wanted is, yeah, gonna we already said Spoilerville, but basically one my problem is what comes at the kind of the conclusion of those flashbacks,
Hmm.
when he remembers like the conversation that he had with Sandra Hüller's character. I think her name is Strat, but who was also phenomenal in her very limited screen time. I think she was great. Loved hearing her sing Harry Styles. Um, Apparently that was improv. Apparently, like she picked a song, and the Lord and Miller were like, "This is great. Let's keep it in." um, but yeah, he Ryland Grace remembers that he's basically been given no choice to go into space. Like he is the last remaining person with the knowledge needed, and despite not having the training, it's on his shoulders, and they pretend like they're going to give him a choice of if he
Hmm.
wants to go to space on this mission or not. And essentially it is a suicide mission.
Yeah.
um and they pretend like they're going to give him a choice, and he decides no, but he doesn't want to do it, and not knowing that they're going to like force him. But I think that that needed to be a bigger thing for the character. Like, I get that he doesn't have his memories fully intact for a lot of the movie, but I thought that that moment of like seeing him in like a cowardice position, but also like
Hmm.
a very human position of like, actually, no, I don't want to throw my life, for science, like for something that may or may not work. I thought that that was kind of weirdly glossed over, and that this moment of him, like this element of him being feeling like a coward and not feeling like he deserves to save the universe, save the world, or work with Rocky, or you know deserve to get back to Earth, is a big question here. Like, I thought all of that was really interesting and very like vulnerable territory that kind of gets glazed over. And as we've mentioned, this is an almost 3-hour movie. Like, you have plenty of
Yeah.
time to develop that.
And I think that's like a great point where it's like I think the personality of this character and his portrayal of it is really fun, but we're lacking this kind of like connection or even like stronger like motivator for this character to go through. And the fact that we only learn about the cowardice or the refusal to heed the call at the end kind
It's
of
like
like
the
makes the rest
last 30
for 10,
minutes, maybe?
yeah, if that, like
Less?
last 10.
Less.
Yeah.
I feel
And
like, and I
yeah.
understand that the motor of this movie is that he doesn't remember, but he knows he doesn't want to be there in the ship when he wakes up. So, I mean, we could have been kind of working from a place of cowardice and like feeling inferior and feeling afraid, like from
Mhm.
the whole time. And I'm not saying that's not there. I do think that it's kind of there in Gosling's performance, but I think that that's more him than it is the script.
Yeah, and there's just like a lot of questions there where it's like, then how does he know to, that he needs to stop the astrophage? One, he realizes that he's never going to come back. Does he, is why do we not see a reflection of that on him being like, ah, well, there must have been a reason I chose to do this. And I think what the
Right.
movie and the story is trying to get us to empathize with is like there's that great line that the astronaut played by Ken Lung has where he says like you need to find something that makes this journey worth it.
Right. Worth it.
And the movie almost makes you think that it's like the Sandra Hüller character, but then
Yeah.
Uh
What that was a weird twist, okay? Like because it cuts like directly to the scene with the karaoke in which Ryan
yeah.
Gosling is looking arguably the hottest he's ever looked in his life. And I'm serious, and he's just like staring lovingly, like longingly at the Sandra
Yeah.
Hüller character. And I'm like, were they fucking? Like was this
Yeah,
like
at
a
someone we
thing?
don't know anything about still. Like we know her life is her job and
Right.
that's it. And we
No.
don't see them talk. They just have
It
like
still
playful
wouldn't
banter.
it still would not fix the problem.
Yeah.
Like, but the movie does kind of wrongfoot you and make you think like, did they have a thing?
But then what I think is that it's in service to is that the thing that he knows he's fighting for is that he's fighting for a larger the what's made it worth it is this relationship that he's built up with Rocky. It's this friendship, and that's why ultimately he chooses, right, not to go back to Earth. He chooses to go to the Iridians because he needs to save Rocky,
Yes.
because that is what made the whole thing worth it, and that's what pushes you
Right.
to fight on and to do this. But we're left not knowing that, and there is this weird disconnection of like it just feels like there's a lot of plot happening and not a lot of like
Yeah.
emotional stuff going on.
Right. And for me, like that moment where he decides to forego his own ticket home to save Rocky, that's his hero moment. It's
Yeah.
not even what they do to like kill the astrophage or whatever, stop the sun from dying.
Hmm.
That's his hero moment. And for me, that would have played so much better and so much more like a moment of triumph if we had been kind of wallowing in this, like self-loathing that he didn't make the choice, the brave
Yeah.
choice before.
Because it's, I think he decides to save Rocky immediately after we see the scene that he gets kidnapped. And so it's a
Yeah.
little too close. It's a little too like, this is what's going on. And I think yeah, I mean, not to speak for you, but it seems like it just like maybe that just doesn't quite work for you and I, you know?
No, and I think I'm remembering when we came out of the movie that we both of us kind of said, "Wow, for a really long movie, that ending felt kind of rushed." So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, like I had a good time. I just think, yeah, like maybe that is what's been sticking with me as kind of just like something that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Um, but I I feel like you and I unfortunately tend to be people that like what doesn't work about the movie really sticks with us longer than what does.
That's also true, right? I mean, like, let's talk
Yeah.
about some
That's
stuff
also
that
just we're the
really,
kind of people we are. Like,
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
So let's talk about what did work for us. I feel like just unparalleled, this movie's visual quality is great. I think there's a line around where they said they used no green screen. Obviously a lot of visual effects in the movie, but I think just even, the very tactile nature of this movie, you can feel it. That's why I kind of picked this picture behind me. I remember just being very awed when the movie opened, and just
Mhm.
how it felt like all those physical sets, there was no digital extensions, nothing. Everything felt like he could have gone anywhere, touched it all without it being like weird, and I was just so impressed with all of that, with all like the production design elements of it too. And of course Rocky, right? Yeah.
Rocky, yeah, they could have gone the CGI route, and I'm sure that certain moments are CGI, but for the most part, vast majority of the movie, he's a puppet. He's being puppeteered
Hmm.
and voiced by a real person, which I do think makes a difference, and I do think probably greatly impacts Gosling's performance.
Oh,
To
100%.
have
Yeah.
something actually to bounce off of and not just, a tennis ball. um,
Yeah.
but all of the performances also worked for me, including Rocky. I thought Rocky was charming and funny, even though and oddly very emotive, even though he has no face. Like he's just a rock.
Yeah.
Like weirdly, like Rocky is kind of the emotional core of the movie. And
Hmm.
or at least that's what the movie really needs you to believe is that Rocky is the
Hmm.
emotional core. But I thought, yeah, Ryan Gosling confirmed movie star after this. Sandra Hüller, incredible,
Yeah.
with limited time. And I yeah, but and yeah, like you said, she's kind of just given a role of like my life is my work and my life is,
Yeah.
is this mission. Um
I gotta give a shout out to Liz Kingsman, who wins the Manny Jacinto got cut out of Top Gun Maverick award for this movie.
Oh.
Liz Kingsman is an established English comedian and actress. She was in a British comedy I really liked about effectively TSA agents
Oh,
in England.
lovely.
It was very goofy, but she was also in F1 and as the publicist, and she is in this movie with 0 lines, and it is
Oh.
unbelievable to me. She is the backup American scientist
Oh,
who
okay.
is like with the other scientists, and they're kind of like hooking up, and they both get
Oh,
killed in the thing.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah. The
she has
explosion.
0 lines in this, and I'm
Okay.
like, she was just in F1. Please give her
Please
something.
give her that like, the SAG credit, please.
Yeah.
Um But yeah, I think that we need once again I will be pushing for and stumping for we need to bring back like actually crafted movies like this where
Mm-hmm.
everything is
Yeah.
done, and I think it just enhances the viewing experience. I'm sure it enhances everyone's, kind of performances on set, and you can tell when something's real and when something's not more than ever now. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that I would love to go out on a limb and say that audiences are responding to that too. But I mean, I don't know if there's enough data to back that up. I'm just gonna think about it.
Yeah, I think it's what they call in the like marketing business like the intangibles, right? It's like you're not going to know that someone was affected by a movie in that way unless they recognize it themselves, and most people don't. But I think most people look at a Marvel movie and they're like, "Why does it look like that? Why does it look kind of off?"
Why
You
does
know, and
it
I can't.
That's our
Yeah,
segment. Why
bringing
does it
back
look
segment
like
back.
that? It'll be back so
And,
soon, I promise. We're going back to space for the Mandalorian so soon. Um,
oh god.
but
Yeah,
I mean,
I think people know,
but
you know.
but people
I
are
think even
showing
you don't
up.
have to be like a yeah, and people are showing up and they're really, they love this movie.
Well, that which brings me to the question. This has been kind of hailed as obviously a massive success. It's already getting like awards buzz for next season. And for its, incredibly massive box office, it's the biggest opening that Amazon Prime Films has ever had. Would you, Evan, call this a four quadrant film?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it 100% is a 4 quadrant film. I, like, think this
Really?
is the exact type of movie that if I was in elementary school and I saw a trailer for it, I'd wanna go
Mm.
see it, or my family would rent it from the library, and I'd sit there, and I think as a young kid or a teenager even, being like, "This feels like I'm watching something kind of adult," and as an adult watching it being like, "I think this is good for kids."
Okay.
And I think as an old person, I would probably also feel like this is a movie that is at least, trying to paint the picture of a hopeful world.
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, on those metrics, yes, definitely. But also, I don't know. I understand the. We'll talk about the hope element a little bit more, but also I kind of felt like this movie was a little bit melancholy for if you're bringing like a 10-year-old to see it. Like it's
Mhm.
not Star Wars, it's not like, do you think that you as a 10-year-old, like I mean as a young kid I was like I had my space era, my space phase. Like I was obsessed with all things space for a good solid amount of time. But I'm not sure. Like, do you think that this would have been something you wanted to see because it seemed more adult, or because it's not that it's not funny, but it's not exactly the most fun movie either.
It's not super fun, but I also think it's, like, not, I mean, yes, the Earth is in danger, but also the movie says if you partner with an alien, you'll save everyone.
That's
Like, I
true.
think like
Mhm.
any, I think the fact that you introduce an alien
All
that's
you
like
have to
really
do
goofy.
is find an alien with a heart of gold, and everything will be
Yeah.
great.
Exactly. I mean, that's why I feel like this movie, like, I feel like you can't take it, the dramatics of it can't be taken too seriously because like it immediately introduces the alien.
It's
You
true.
know, I think that's almost a reason why it plays
Well,
better as a book in a
I
sense.
mean, I think we get like a solid opening 45 minutes without Rocky.
True. Yeah. Yeah. But if you've seen the trailer, you know he's coming.
It's
And I
true.
saw the trailer
It's
and I was
true.
mad about it.
It's true. And then he steals the movie, arguably, for a good chunk. I'm more invested in Rocky. But that's just me. Um,
I generally think this movie is good for all ages and I think has something that anyone can take away from, which I think is another reason that is maybe it's exceeding like it's just having a better takeoff or whatever box office earnings from as a quote unquote like original IP and not like a franchise, you know.
it's true. It is an adaptation of a, successful book, so I'm not sure I would call it completely
Mhm.
original, but yeah, similar. Um, we touched on the hope element, and
Mhm.
you have a theory about this, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting that audiences are responding to the kind of like maybe like hope core elements of this that like, the one of the movies we talked about pairing this with was Arrival. I think Arrival is a
Mm.
movie that is about the world coming together, right? And about
Re-arrival.
how
The
you
re-arrival.
the re-arrival, yeah. I
Yes.
think like that movie specifically is about like can the world set aside its differences and come together, right? How do we communicate with each other in order to face down a bigger threat? And I think that's what people are taking away from this movie about like can talk to an interstellar species and save the world and save Earth, you know?
But you can't talk to other people on Earth about it. So,
Yeah. I mean, and the movie also says like, the governments of the world and scientists of the world are coming together to stop this. But I
uh,
just don't like think that's like that big of an part of this movie.
well,
People are like, this movie is the hope we need right now.
I
And I'm
would
like,
I would
I don't
argue
respond to
I
that.
would argue that the reason why it's not a big part of this movie is because it's very unrealistic. Like, if this were happening in real life,
Yeah.
there's not a way. I'm very cynical also as a person, but or just realistic. Like, I don't know what kind of event it would take, but I don't see the whole earth coming together for this. And maybe that's why it's kind of glazed over and why it's like I guess the point of the movie is like it's easier to save the world on like as one man with an alien being than it is with all the humans left on Earth. And I did find something ironic in that, and I did like I see what you mean about the hope core, and I just think people are so desperate right now for any semblance of like see
Yeah.
people can work together with through their differences and see like kind of thinly veiled metaphors and like everything's going to be okay. And I
I think you're right.
I
I
think
mean,
that's
I
just what
certainly
people want right now, and it's comforting.
yeah.
I think that's yeah. I
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Somebody maybe I will. Maybe I'll do a deep dive on the semblance of hope in films right now. But yeah, I see what you're responding to.
Yeah, I just think like I don't want to be someone though. It's like if that was your takeaway and that's how you felt, like I'm not denigrating that at all. Like I think to your point, Gabby, is that like movies like this are important because if that is like what you take from it, like that's important to you. And
Yeah.
and that's an important part of like why I think this movie is succeeding, but also like important part of storytelling, right? If you can see a version of that story in that, then like by all means, it's just not something I really responded to, but I'm certainly not going to ignore it as part of the success of how well this movie is being received.
Yeah,
Um, can I give you another theory about why this movie maybe didn't connect with me?
of course. Always.
Um, this is one of my coworkers. I was with a group of people. We're eating lunch together.
Mhm.
One of my coworkers was like, "Oh, that makes." She's like, "I think I know why you don't like this movie that much." And I was like, What's your theory?" She's like, "It's because you don't like dogs." And I was like, "Huh." And it's like, because it's not that I don't like dogs. It's just I'm not very good with them, and I don't really like. I've never had pets that like kind of run around, So I'm generally not a
Mm.
great person with pets like that. And she's like, "But that's kind of like the relationship with Rocky." And I was like,
Honestly,
Interesting."
I'm on your coworker's side now because this is something that I didn't mention it, but I think that the reason why I like emotionally connected to Rocky is because it immediately reminded me of like, oh, this is probably what it would be like if my dog could talk. Like if me like if my dog could speak to me, it would probably be a little jumbled, probably wouldn't understand everything I'm saying, but we would make it
Uh
work
huh.
because we're besties. But like, yeah, I think maybe that's why. Like the connection that that Grace and Rocky have is much more. It's friendship, but it's also like companionship that you kind of get with
Yeah.
an animal. And
Yeah.
yeah, I fully buy that theory actually.
I think Matt, who helps us with the pod sometimes, he wrote on Letterboxd that it was like him and his cat. He's like, "This is just me and Ponzu.
Yep.
Ponzu's just chirping away."
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely, shout out Amanda for the theory.
Fully
Yeah,
on board.
I've had to do a lot of thinking about that one.
Mm. Well, speaking of deep space companions, let's
Hmm.
transition into our talk about Interstellar and both of our funny that you didn't connect to Rocky because both of us sure connect to TARS.
Where's the lie? Where's the
TARS,
lie?
TARS. More aren't honesty, TARS. We'll be right back with Interstellar. We're back. We're back to talk about Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's
Woo.
space epic, his space classic, I would say. It's really carved out a place for
Mm-hmm.
itself in the culture since its release. Interstellar was released November 5th, 2014, directed by Christopher Nolan, written by Christopher and Jonathan Nolan, produced by Nolan, Emma Thomas, and Linda Obst, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, Bill Irwin as TARS, Ellen Burstyn, Casey Affleck, Michael Caine, and baby boy Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, very, very young,
Very baby.
Timothy Chalamet, huh?
Very
Yeah,
baby.
very baby.
But this movie, it's kind of fascinating to me. I don't remember it being as big of a phenomenon when it came out. But I feel like it has really stayed in the culture. Like, I don't know. I just don't. I think this movie came out in 2014. I was at Emerson
We were
already.
in college.
I was
Yeah, we were in
there.
college. I remember it was a big deal for us, at least people that I knew, because this was one of the first times that a movie that was doing like multiple formats was like readily accessible. And I remember it was a big deal to be like, "Oh, we're gonna watch this in
Um,
35 or 70, or who's gonna drive out and blah 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 blah." And I remember I either skipped class or I saw this in the middle of the day
oh.
on a school day
Hmm.
in 35 because I felt like I needed to go and watch it because I was like, "Oh, it seems like everyone's doing this. I gotta go do this thing."
See, I think that's a bigger part of why I don't have a huge relationship to this movie is I didn't see it when it came
Yeah.
out. I
Yeah.
don't
100%.
remember very much about it coming out. Like I think I was so like sucked into freshman year Gabby that I was
Mhm.
like I was just trying to make it to class. I was just trying to like get
Yeah.
it together. Um but I did see it for the first time for the very first time in IMAX 70 a couple of years ago at Universal City Walk. And because I hadn't seen it, and everyone told me, like, you're gonna love it. Everyone, like, this is like the Christopher Nolan sleeper movie that, like, everyone knew he was gonna be huge based on this, or like that he was the next Spielberg because of this movie. And it felt like a blind spot for me. So I went around the time of Oppenheimer because I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I really like Oppenheimer. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna see the whole Nolan filmography. Uh and yeah, I it we'll get to it. But do you feel like, do you since you remember it a little bit more, do you feel like it had that moment in the culture when it came out? Because my feeling is more like, or my interpretation is more of it like it's had a longer shelf life, and that like more people have come to love it over the past like 10 years, especially younger people.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a pretty good read on it. I feel like I was so surrounded in our like film school bubble. That's hard to remember if it had a bigger impact. But I think it was interesting because this is like, post the Batman movies, but also like post Inception. And
Yes.
so like this is a movie where like people were like, well, is he just like the kind of like head twisty guy if he's not gonna do, like it's his first movie after Dark Knight Rises, right? And
Mhm.
I think it's way more accessible than Inception, but also
Yes.
just as easily, like if you're not in within the first 30 minutes, or
You're
I
not
guess in
gonna
this
be
movie, it's
in.
like the first hour, you're not gonna be in,
No.
right? And a lot hinges on that. I mean, just to shout out, like one of the other actresses that we didn't mention, Mackenzie Foy, who plays the
Yes.
young Murph.
Myrrh.
Like, if you don't buy young Murph and Matthew McConaughey as father and daughter and that connection immediately, you're going to have a much tougher time getting through this movie. But I like the Spielberg comparison in that sense too, though,
Well,
because I
yeah.
think this is his most emotionally accessible movie.
Yeah, and fun fact, for a long time, Spielberg was attached to direct this movie. When
Mm.
back when it was just a script by Jonathan Nolan, and Christopher was not involved yet. But this kind of became, yeah, like he had done his blockbuster, big hits with the Dark Knight trilogy, the Batman trilogy. Um, and he had kind of an original hit with Inception. It was even like an Academy like nominated hit. So people were starting to take him more seriously, and I feel like this was around the time that people were like, "Oh, so he's going to be Spielberg, or like he's going to be the next guy." Um,
Mm.
and that's what everyone kind of throws at me when I tell them that I don't love this movie. They're like, "What do you mean? This is his moment." But
Yeah.
it whether or not it was a huge hit at the time, to date, it still is pretty common to see this movie at rep theaters, and it does get an IMAX or a 70 millimeter release every once in a while. Interstellar has earned 773 million at the box office. Its original budget was 165 million. Was nominated for 5 Academy Awards: score, production design, sound editing, and sound mixing. Back when those were 2 separate categories, and one for best visual effects. Now,
Deservingly so, too.
yes, deservingly so. Now, Project Hail Mary just came out 2 weeks ago, but we did mention it had an impressive opening weekend of 80 million and has now made 177 million domestic and 330 million worldwide at the time of recording, on a budget of 240 million. Um,
I mean,
I know,
pretty
and
good.
it's pretty good, but I mean, I know inflation is tough, but geez, Nolan and his team really must be the true artisans, because Interstellar cost 80 million less and it looks 80 times better to me. But I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's also just
it's
Nolan being like a crazy perfectionist kind of person.
there's also, right, like I think something I forgot to mention when we're talking about the visual aspect of Project Hail Mary is that the DP Greg Fraser, who shot the Batman as well as the Dune movies, he it's shot digital, Project Hail
Yes.
Mary, right?
Mhm.
But what they did was they printed the digital on film
Mhm.
and then rescan that to edit.
Right.
And so if you're watching a film print of Project Hail Mary, you're watching kind of like double film texture. Whereas if you're watching on digital, you still get a little bit of that film texture. Whereas Interstellar, all shot on film,
It's all
right?
film,
So
yeah.
there is a visual quality difference there. But I gotta say, man, Project Hail Mary, just from a cinematography perspective too, looks pretty good.
It
Looks
does
pretty
look
good as
good.
far as modern movies are concerned, you
It
know?
does look
Yeah.
good. I'm mostly just, yeah, Interstellar came out 10 years ago and it still looks
I
like
know, it looks so good.
amazing. But yes, they both look great.
Yeah.
Maybe Nolan just a little more had a little tighter budget than Amazon at Project Hail Mary. Amazon was just like, please give us a hit and we will give you as much as you want. But I thought, yeah, we kind of touched on this already, but maybe give you a chance to comment further. I thought a brand new segment just for this episode is talking about
Mhm.
the legacy of this movie, of our second
Okay.
pairing. Kind of like just, yeah, how Interstellar has gone on to take its place in the space movie mantle, the pantheon. And do you think that Project Hail Mary will live in that pantheon too?
Oh, I like that. I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah. Was not prepped for this,
I
but
know. I know. Don't you love it when
I
I
do
just
like
spring
being
it
on the
on you?
spot.
Yeah.
I know that I surprise Gabby with the script all the time anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Interstellar, I think to your point, especially being discovered by young people, I think Interstellar is a great modern sci-fi classic that is like ascending the ranks to be an all-timer.
Yep.
I think just the themes it kind of covers and the way it's doing stuff, it feels like a nice update to 2001.
Hmm.
Like if we were to cover Interstellar, I think we would pair it with something like 2001 in a
Yes.
sense, you know.
100%.
Um and so I think that is interesting. I think there's the this and Project Hail Mary are so interesting to think of hand in hand because of the way they treat the Earth ending or
Hmm.
the Earth being uninhabitable, and the only answer is to go to space, right? But what are you finding out in space? Each movie is different, but I think that is a nice way to a nice maybe like subgenre of the kind of space movie in a sense.
Exactly.
Um yeah, I mean, just from visual effects alone, and just I think like we talked about earlier, just like the thumbs up from the science community. It feels like Interstellar is like sitting pretty safe in like being an all timer
Yeah.
for
Oh no, Interstellar is locked
space
in.
movies.
But do you think that
Yeah.
Project Hail Mary in 10 years is going to have the same shelf life, the same, no pun intended, for Interstellar?
even though even though you and I didn't respond super we didn't respond as warmly as most audiences are to the movie. I think I hope that it does.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where like again just thinking about younger me, if I was a kid and I watched Project Hail Mary, I'd probably be all about that.
Oh
But
yeah.
watching Project Hail Mary and knowing that the book was written after Interstellar came out, it just feels hard to look at the movie and not think that the movie is such a blend of other movies and other stories that have already come out that you and I have watched that other people have know. It is almost like playing the hits but in the best way.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong about that, right? But it
No.
does feel like it feels like the kind of like Pokemon evolution of like Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. It's like you give a kid Project Hail Mary first, and then they grow up, they can watch Interstellar, and they grow up, they can watch
2001.
2001. Just to like
Mm.
have their mind
You
expand
know,
and understand the depth, you know?
I appreciate that take. That is what I want for my future child. Um, well, let's talk more in depth about Interstellar. Interstellar follows former pilot Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, at the tail end here of the reconnaissance, who joins a mission through a wormhole to find a new habitable planet as Earth faces ecological collapse. As he travels across distant worlds where he behaves unpredictably, his bond with his daughter Murph becomes the emotional core of a story about survival, sacrifice, and the nature of time itself. Um, I I have now seen this movie 3 times, and every time I see it, I really want to like it. I really do. I really
Mhm.
want to like it more than I do. And I always come out kind of thinking like this movie is impeccably made. I like the act of watching it, and I think that it is Matthew McConaughey's best performance. I do. Like hands down, Dallas Buyers Club found dead. Um maybe he's better in True Detective. I don't know. Uh but I can't kind of get past the overly sentimental pieces of it that we are really asked to buy into here, and uh, as an answer to an otherwise extremely scientifically specific movie.
Yeah.
That's it. That's about what that's
Um,
just what it boils down to for me. I love the first hour of this movie. Like you kind of talked about that earlier, how if you're not bought into the first hour or the first half hour, you're not going to be bought in. But this one, I'm bought in on the first hour. I love the kind of detail to how their Earth has become an uninhabitable. I love the all the corn. I love the New York Yankees are just like in a van together now. Um, I love all those details, and I am bought in on this family dynamic. Like I'm bought in on McConaughey and Murph. Like I buy it. Um, daughter of a father, I'm bought in. But
daughter of a father.
I am. I'm the daughter of a father. Shout out to Emilio. Thanks. I would feel that way if somebody was trying to send my dad to space. I'd be like, "Excuse you." Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that scene breaks my heart. It really does. But
Yeah, I mean,
and it
yeah.
gets me. And the scene later in the movie with older Murph, when he realizes the time he's lost so much time, it gets me. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are moments in this movie that really, really get me. And then the ending just really, really doesn't.
Really?
Yeah.
What part of the ending?
It's just it's just hard for like in the scene like right behind you right now. Like when he is doing the thing
Uh,
like where he's like in the
uh,
wormhole and he's communicating with
yeah.
her like through the other side of like time and space. I'm like, "What?" Like I'm a little bit like, what are you talking about? What do you mean that like you're asking me to believe that the answer to this world-ending ecological issue is that Matthew McConaughey is on the other side of time and space communicating with his daughter about how much he loves her and giving her coordinates? It's a little tough for me. It's tough. I'm sorry. I sound heartless.
No. I get it. I get it. So wait, you've seen this movie 3 times.
Mhm.
Two of those were in theaters or
Yes,
one
2
was
in
in theaters?
theaters and
Okay.
one now at home. And I was hoping to, like,
Okay.
sit with it a little bit more at home, but, I don't know, you were right, you were like, you kinda told me, like, I don't know, if you didn't like it in theaters, you're probably not gonna like it more at home.
No,
Um
so I've seen it 3 times now. First one was in Boston. We were in college, right? I saw it in theaters. I remember liking it a lot, and over the years, I've like revisited certain scenes, and I never watched the movie in full. I think my family owns it on DVD, but I don't think I've seen it
Mm.
with them. Or if I did, I like left for a part of it and came back and it was still playing.
Another
Um,
long movie.
and then it's pretty long,
Pretty
yeah.
long.
And I remember in 2019, I watched the Tesseract scene that we are just talking
Yeah.
about, um, just on its own, just isolated, because I wanted to see the production design. Just found it on YouTube and was like, just play it. And I remember being so baffled. I was like, this is the movie that I like so much. This is the movie that like had me like crying. Like this is great. This like feels like a parody. If you were to be like write at a parody of Interstellar, it's like just show them this scene because it feels like that is a parody of what's going on.
I'm just really
And
yeah.
then everything
Yeah,
changed
what
when I
changed? I'm
saw
on
it
board with
when I
you.
saw it 2 years ago
Okay.
at IMAX, a digital IMAX screening. Um where I think I've told this story before on the podcast or maybe on the break room or something, but they played the How to Train Your Dragon live action trailer
Mhm.
so loud that I thought the speakers were gonna break.
Oh.
And people in the theater were like audibly saying that was really loud. And so I was like, this is, I don't know what we're in for here, but this movie's gonna either break this theater or this theater it has the capacity to handle how
The
loud this
Hans
movie is
Zimmer
gonna get.
score.
I cannot tell you how in this movie I was. From the moment they're on Earth and they're explaining everything and they're like, everything was dusty back then. We had to set everything down. I was
It
like,
was the
oh
Dust
no.
Bowl.
I cannot tell you. I mean, I talk about crying during movies a lot on this podcast for sure. And I know the time that I've cried the most in a movie in theaters was Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this might be a strong second
Mm.
because and Hamnet, but
Hamnet.
this might be a strong second because um everything with Murph and her dad and with Matthew McConaughey got me so much, and to the point where I could really ignore Anne Hathaway saying love is the fifth dimension, that because when you hear that at home on a TV, it's tough. It is really really tough. I'll be honest, I'm an Anne Hathaway fan.
Same.
I think she's
I
great, but
love
it's
Anne.
tough, you know.
I honestly,
But
if any person on this earth could sell me that line, it's probably Anne Hathaway, and I'm still not there. I don't know, but you got there,
but
so it's possible. Maybe I'll get
yeah,
there.
it is possible. I mean, it's possible for me because I know during that second screening in IMAX, I was watching it and I was just so blown away by the whole movie. And then this Tesseract scene happened, and I'm like, all right, I know that I'm gonna laugh at this because it's so ridiculous. And I don't know what it was, but everything that like was leading up to that, just like I was in tears for the whole rest of the movie because I was like, this whole thing is like you can go to the ends of the earth but still have the bond between a parent and a child, just reaching out across time, because I think this is, we talked about this in Arrival a little bit, and I
Yeah.
think this came up in a different movie that I just watched recently, but, what movie was it? Oh my god. Oh no, this came up in Sentimental Value, where it's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
somehow our parents know us better than we will know ourselves, right? And it's like just iterations on that bond. And I don't know if like, my parents are getting older too, and like it's just like one of those things where like it just caught me on the right day and I was just so bowled over by it. And when he at the end, when he like can't spend time with Murph, and she's like, how'd you know I would come back? And she's like, because my dad promised me. I was like, oh my god, I like lost it. And at home when I was watching it, I wasn't as into the movie, and when I was like crying during it, I was like, this kind of feels empty because like I'm like just reacting to this scene, but I don't feel the same emotional, like I'm not swept up in it in the way that I was when you're in a theater and the sound is like screaming. I
Yeah.
was like, this movie is truly the best advocate for the theatrical experience because it just works better in a theater.
Yeah. The sound
Yeah.
is incredible. The sound is amazing. Like, I will say, like, the score, the sound mixing, the sound design, like, down to the fact that like there's no sound in space. Like, like when the movie
Mhm.
goes quiet, that gets me. Like those kind of moments,
When
those details, like that,
yeah.
those things, yeah, that washes over you in a theater so much better than it does at home. But
When Matt Damon
oof,
fails the docking sequence, the way that sound ducks out, oh my god. Like that's what wins you the Oscar. It's incredible.
never wanted Matt Damon dead so much as I do in this movie, by the way.
I know, he was particularly reprehensible on this third
He
viewing. I
is
was like,
so
"Wait, he
bad.
actually
Yeah.
is bad."
He's actually like this movie's funny because it like tries to make you think that Michael Caine is the main villain, or that like he like knew the whole
Yeah.
time, and like that's going to be like the mustache twirly plot twist is that he knew they were never going to make it back, and that kind of thing,
Mhm.
and that Anne Hathaway knew too. But no, it's Matt Damon. Matt Damon is an
Yeah.
absolute demon in this movie. And he eats it up. He eats this roll up, and I have never rooted for somebody's on-screen death harder than him. I'm serious. Like, when I say that there are moments that get me like emotionally riled up in this movie, it's true, and that's one of them. Like, I'm actively angry every time he's on screen. I mean, even the first time that I saw this movie, I didn't have it spoiled for me, thankfully, in that regard. And so, but I did not trust him. I was like, no. And this is not The Martian. But yeah, never rooted for somebody's death harder. So glad that his planet was uninhabitable and that he died. But but yeah, that scene, and I want to say, yeah, the most impactful scene in the movie to me is by far the wave planet, which is in my background, and how it's this planet where something about the time on this planet is like like a minute there is like years for us, you know, and they lose. I think, what do they lose? Like 20, like it's still like not that long. But
they're supposed to lose, I think,
they're supposed to only lose
just 1 hour is 7 years.
Yes. So I think they're only supposed to lose 1 hour or 2 hours tops. And then obviously things go awry on the wave planet. There's a lot more waves and, you know, damage to the ship. Despite Tars's best efforts, RIP, like, you did your best, Tars.
Yeah.
But they end up losing, I think it's 27 years. It's like almost
20 something years.
It's almost 30 years. Brutal. And that scene where McConaughey goes back, Cooper goes back to the ship, and he sees that Murph has finally sent him a video, that Murph had been resistant, had not sent him these videos to the ship. And he sees that she is an adult woman, that she is Jessica Chastain now. And he is absolutely sobbing, like that he has essentially in these 2 to 3 hours missed her entire life, and like, or her entire, you know, adolescence, her entire young adult life is gone in like the blink of an eye. Essentially, that got me. That 100% like ripped my heart out of my chest the first time that I saw it.
Casey Affleck too, I think. He so just good at being from sad. The Timothy Chalamet to Casey Affleck. And also, like, the fact he's like so excited to have this kid, and then the kid dies. Yeah. The kid dies
he's
in
so
that
excited
time
to be a dad, and then he's just like, it's.
And he's like, my wife says I can't talk to you anymore, and I'm like, oh my god.
Divorce is an option, but
divorce,
yeah, but ultimately, those moments hit me so hard, and I really want the ending to hit me that way, and it still doesn't. And maybe there will come a day where I sit in a theater and I have an Evan Yee epiphany, and, you know, and the sound hits me right, and, you know, the vibe hits me right. But for now, once again, hearing "Love is the Fifth Dimension," I can't do it. I'm not there.
It's tough. You know whose performance, though, actually I felt like didn't quite work as well on me this time around? Because I do think Anne Hathaway's good on that wave planet when she's freaking out. She has to apologize to Cooper and all that stuff. I think the frailty in her voice is just, I think she just plays it really well. I think Jessica Chastain is she's a little tough. It's like a little much sometimes. Yeah.
A little tough.
Yeah.
It's the Juilliard. It's really, her Juilliard is showing in this movie.
Yeah. That's true. She's great, though.
She's great.
As an actress, she's really good.
I think she's good in this movie, but she dials it up a couple times.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will, for better or worse, live in the pantheon forever, as we discussed. And someday, maybe it'll take me having a human child and not just my dog child, and to like connect with it on that level. But I don't know. We'll see. Report back.
The ending is brutal. So the ending, obviously, for me, emotionally brutal. But I do see, like, not having a bigger reaction to it, because I think it ends up kind of being a little bit of a mixed metaphor, where it's like, you know, he's doing everything he can to get back home. He gets back home, and then she pushes him away yet again, because she's actually like, no, you're meant to be an adventurer. You're meant to be this other thing, even though
Well,
it's like, no,
he gets
the point of
back
the
and
movie is
she's
that,
like 90. Like she's Ellen
but
Burstyn.
I think it's important for him to spend that time with like his daughter. I've always felt that
Yes.
way, that it doesn't, to me, it doesn't quite make sense. But she has the line that, we have said on this podcast before. It's like no parent should have to watch their child die, which is very true,
Yes.
And then I just love. I mean, I remember just like crying so much, but I just love the shot of when McConaughey and Tars decide to steal the plane. But Matthew McConaughey is in that, the elevator door opens. No one has looked fucking cooler
No.
than him leaning back with the helmet there,
King.
and he's just like coasting. He looks so cool in that moment.
Him and
It's
Tars
so
against the
sick.
world. I do love that. Speaking of that scene, I mean, I know that we're supposed to maybe assume that his son is dead, but he just doesn't even
There's no
ask.
reference.
He
Yeah.
just doesn't even
He doesn't even
ask, like,
ask.
where's my son? Like, I think that if you
Yeah.
go on Letterboxd right now, the like most popular review of this movie is like 5 stars, and then it's like the review is like, I love, my favorite part of this movie is how he absolutely does not give a shit about his son. And it's just, I didn't really notice it as much the first couple times, but this time I noticed. I was like, he makes it back. And he doesn't even say,
Yeah.
like, where's your brother? Like, how did he
Yeah.
die?
Yeah, it's not
It's a little
addressed.
tough.
Yeah.
It's girl dad movie only.
Yeah. Oh, another girl dad movie in
Girl
the
dad
canon, in the
movie.
Back to the Future canon.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I have to start that Letterboxd list of all the girl dad movies that we've covered. But this is also the second and third space movie that we've covered after Arrival.
Yeah.
I think that, and Alien. Nope, we covered Alien.
Yeah.
But, and I would say a lot of the movies that we've covered also have climate centric crises like these two do, including our most recent foray into animation with Hoppers. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think of the ultimate kind of links of companionship and, like humanity, I want to say, being the prevailing themes or links of between Project Hail Mary and Interstellar?
I feel like we tried to talk through a few different options of pairing, and it just felt like the more and more we came around to it, it was just like, it feels like Interstellar is the one. I mean, besides what you mentioned, also just like science being so accurate, or like the depictions being so accurate, but like such a emblematic part of both movies too. And yeah, just the way that human determinism, right, can
Right.
really hopefully one day save our species.
Will it
I
though?
mean, I think, and if you want to apply that to the real world, it's that humans should be determined not to use AI that is killing our
Except
environment,
for
and determined
Tars.
not to blow each other up.
Except for
Except for
Tars.
Tars, yeah.
Tars can stay. Tars is obedient and means well. Tars stays. But before we jump into alt pairings, I do want to say that we mentioned that this trailer for Interstellar played before our screening of Project Hail Mary at the Vista. And my fiance did turn to me and whisper, "Isn't that the movie we're here to watch?" Like, she was like, "Isn't that the same movie?" Like, she genuinely was like, "That looks like the same movie."
Yeah.
And at the end, I was like, "Yeah, it
That's
kind of
so
is."
funny.
But we talked about a lot about Ryan Gosling going to space as alt pairings. This is not the first time he's been to space, Evan, and it will not be the last. He has taken his turn playing an actual astronaut. We talked about First Man, Damien Chazelle's underrated biopic of Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
He's played an astronaut, and he also, after this, like, he's doing a Star Wars movie. He's in Starfighter.
Starfighter.
He's going back to space, and this is not confirmed, but he just was announced as being the star of the next film from the Daniels, Emerson alums.
Right. Yeah, another sci-fi
And
film.
it is sci-fi, but they haven't confirmed if it's space or not. But
just a quick note, it's been confirmed that Ryan Gosling is no longer starring in that film for the Daniels. Perhaps a preemptive publication. We don't know, but that's not happening anymore. Back to you guys.
does Ryan Gosling just love space? Is he just like? Do you think he's just like a space guy? Like,
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'd be remiss not to say that we're recording this on the day that Artemis 2 launched to the moon. This is the first time humans will be orbiting the moon since
that's
1974.
correct.
Pretty big deal. During the live stream preparation for that, they had, some Hollywood guests kind of like send some messages in, and Ryan Gosling was among one of the people
He's
who was speaking
okay.
there. So
So
maybe
let's assume
yeah.
he's an enthusiast. He's a space enthusiast. Where was Matthew McConaughey's video?
Oh, I don't know. I saw Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
I'm assuming they just filmed this on the days they had press, and then they were like, "All right, Scarlett, we're just gonna release this whenever they actually go to the moon." So it might be a few years.
Fair enough. I also put in The Right Stuff as a kind of a throwback space movie to possibly pair it with. Gravity I tossed out there, which mostly like I feel like could have fit as a pairing, but as like a stranded alone in space movie, but I don't like that movie even more of an Interstellar, and I just didn't want to watch it again.
Oh yeah, so that's what I wanted to get to. So do you like it's more the space stuff, right? Because like do you like Contact?
I don't think I've seen Contact.
Have you seen Contact?
No.
I actually really like Contact. I think it gets like kind of poo-pooed here and there, but I do like Contact
I don't think I've seen it.
But that takes place on Earth.
Oh.
And so I'm trying to figure out what your mileage is between like being on Earth and there's aliens, being in space and there's aliens, or being in space and there's no aliens.
I'm not anti-alien. I mean, I'm a huge Close Encounters fan. Love Close Encounters. I'm excited for Disclosure Day. Like I can get down with aliens. I think it's just like once we're like stranded alone in space and like it's basically a one person show and there are only so many ways that the story can go, I'm a little bit turned off.
Got it. And so it's not even like that balance of like hard or soft sci-fi either. It's more just like the mode in which we're getting there. Okay.
No, I think I used to be way more anti-sci-fi, honestly, and my heart has grown. TARS has grown my heart 3 sizes for sci-fi.
Yeah, TARS and Rocky.
And Rocky, of course. And yes, you mentioned doing a re-Arrival, which honestly, I'm always down to rewatch Arrival. Would have done it again any day of the week.
Yeah. I think that was more just the communications with an alien, because I did forget to say that one thing that kind of bugged me was that like how did Rocky know how to communicate with Grace
I
so
thought
quickly?
the same thing.
But I asked my friends who read the book, and honestly, the book explains like a lot of the questions. If there's any technical questions about the movie,
read the book.
Or like why were there only 2 backups of the astronauts? Yeah, just read the book and it'll explain a lot. And I don't want to misspeak, so we don't have to litigate all that here. But I am interested in reading the book one day because I do think it might be a fun read.
Okay.
One thing I will say, I should have brought this up again with the visuals of Project Hail Mary. The astrophage scene where he flips and everything's red and you see all this stuff.
Cinema.
That's pretty cool.
That was cinema.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was cinema. Oh, another obvious pairing choice that I literally just thought of right now. The Martian. The other Andy Weir adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
With Matt Damon. Didn't even think about it. Sorry, Matt. Hyped to see you in the Odyssey. Hope you get that Oscar, bud.
Yeah, hope you get to make it home. I don't really know if it's gonna happen.
I don't know. Do I have to reread the Odyssey, the Iliad, whatever?
Oh God.
For this?
Yeah. I honestly think out of all the ones we listed, I think I was most interested in First Man, not because the score was playing while we were waiting for the movie to start, but because I think, to your point, it is quite underrated. I actually have covered this movie on the Cinemathology podcast. If you're interested, you can look it up. We did a Damien Chazelle episode with about Babylon, and then all of his other movies. But I think, although it is highly fictionalized, I do think that Gosling brings a lot to that performance, and the movie is really interesting. I think it's interesting to do that kind of like to show the depth of his performance. Because if, as Gabby and I both noted, we felt like we wanted more from the character, but he's doing very similar thing in First Man that he doesn't drive, which is very reserved, but still kind of funny here and there, and just like Gosling has multiple modes. He excels in all of them, and if the right material is there, then hey, he's got the right stuff.
He does. He's got the goods. I can't wait to see him go to space 10,000 more times. I hope that he stays on Earth sometimes, but we'll see. I'm in the bag for Gosling, and I'm in the bag for Damien Chazelle, even though we're not talking about that right now. In the bag.
In the bag, yeah. And I guess in the bag for Lord and Miller, right?
Yeah.
They directed this movie. We mentioned it up top, and yeah, I think people are like, do you not like it because you don't like the tone? I'm like, yeah, I do like the tone.
I don't mind the tone. It could have
been like 20% funnier,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't mind the tone at all. I just like, it's not them, and obviously, I mean, we know that they can be funny. Like they've done mostly comedies, so who knows? Maybe they were trying to be more serious, maybe more demure,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us today. If you're listening to us on audio, leave a review or comment. Don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod, and on Instagram and Back to the Future Pod. Next up on the podcast, we might be talking about a pair of brothers, or we might be talking about a wedding. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.